You know, despite losing an arm, everything seems to be coming up Blake, doesn't it? Until the white Fang shows up. Hello internet, I'm Really May, and I'm continuing this what if. Now, one what if I've seen a lot in the RWBY fandom is just the idea of what if Blake had decided to stick around at the end of Volume 3 after Yang had just lost her arm to Adam. And while part of me did like the idea, I just thought it was a bit too simple. There needed to be a bit more to it in my eyes. But with some inspiration from Blake's death battle against Mikasa Ackerman from Attack on Titan, I came up with this idea. What if Blake had lost an arm instead? Specifically, her left arm. Yang loses the right, Blake loses the left. Now, in the last part, we established that Blake had been staying at the Xiaolong household, receiving care from the likes of Tai, Yang, RWBY, until she left the Haven. And while initially still wanting to leave, just like she did in the original, she ultimately decided to stay put, that it was for the best. Therefore, not going to Menagerie. And as a result, that also meant that Sun goes to Haven with Team Sun. Now don't worry, that will have effect on things later on, trust me. In fact, anyone who's read Before the Dawn knows what I'm talking about. Also, Gira and Kali, while still in Menagerie, receiving a letter from Tai and Yang, the Blake is at their house and even inviting them to stay, so they head off for Patch, unknowing that some people are following them. So anyway, we're in the middle of the time skip between volumes 3 and 4. I'm gonna go ahead and jump us to a specific day, that being January 19th. For those not in the know, that is Blake's birthday. And with any luck, that's also the day I'm posting this video. Yes, I'm posting a what if about Blake that has her birthday as part of it on her actual birthday. Blake wakes up to find that Yang and Tai have decorated the house. There are presents, birthday decorations, and a banner on the wall that reads, "Happy Birthday, Blake." She's quite touched by this. They're actually celebrating her birthday? It's been so long since anyone's done that. She's on the verge of tears. Now, based on the people that we have seen in the White Fang, they don't really strike me as the type to give a damn about that sort of thing, so I think it's safe to say it's been a while. Yang enters the room from the kitchen to find Blake. "Oh, Blake, I was just coming to get you." But she's interrupted by Blake hugging her. "Thank you, Yang." Yang hugs her back. "Happy birthday, Blake." As the day goes on, well, there's a surprise arrival. Gira and Kali. Now, of course, Blake is very shocked to actually see her parents here, and it has been a while since she's last seen them. She gives an awkward hello, just like in the original, and just like in that, she's cut off by a hug from Kali. And her reaction from the original is exactly the same, with some initial shock, but hugs her mother back. And her parents are really here and they aren't mad at her? Now, after some quick introductions between Yang, Tai, Gira, and Kali, we get a scene similar to this one from Volume 4. Everyone just sitting around, enjoying some tea, and just talking. Now, like in the original, Gira and Kali express how worried they were when they heard the beacon fell. And of course, when they got Tai's letter, they were absolutely horrified to find out that their daughter had lost an arm in the fall of Beacon. But they're also beyond relieved to see that she is perfectly okay, and she's with good people. But this is when Yang speaks up. "It's my fault this happened," she says as she looks down with her fists balled up in her lap. "I'm so sorry." Remember, she still feels rather guilty about how Blake lost her arm. Blake puts her hand on Yang's shoulder. "Hey, you have nothing to apologize for." Now, Gira adds to this conversation. "Yang, you and Tai took Blake in. You cared for her and helped her back on her feet. You've done more than enough. Kali and I are eternally grateful. What happened is in the past. The best thing that you can do now is to keep moving forward." Now those last few words help Yang a lot. Put her conscience at ease a little bit. Anyway, with all that, Kali reminds everyone that today is Blake's birthday, and she wants to make her daughter her favourite meal, speckled tuna. as stated in the DC Comics. So, Yang offers to take her into town, show her some shops where she can get everything needed. And this gives Gira and Blake some much needed alone time. Now, as Yang and Carly are walking together, Yang talks about the adventures of Team RWBY, much like Sun did, and Carly is quite amazed hearing all of this, especially what happens on the train. Roman Torchwick? The crime boss? Blake is the one who beat him? Yeah, she kicked his butt! And this really big dude with a chainsaw afterwards. Now, okay, real quick to explain what I mean by that. So, there are those mangas that retold the first few volumes and changed a few things, such as who fights who on the train. Blake fights the White Fang lieutenant with a chainsaw, and Weiss fights Roman alongside RWBY. Now, in the manga, Blake defeats the guy whose name we never learned, and since Volume 2 doesn't really show us what happens after Blake just defeated Roman Torchwick, honestly, I think it's safe to say that Blake beat him in the show as well, just off screen, unfortunately. And with that being the case in the manga, that just lines up. It's moments like this that made me think, oh, Blake's an absolute beast! And Carly couldn't be happier hearing this. While they were apart, Blake has been putting criminals away, protecting people, saving the day. She's so proud of her baby girl right now. And she thanks Yang for telling her this. The two of them arrive at the store. But before Yang goes in, she hears something. Hey, you! She turns around to see a dark figure in an alley, backing away while also beckoning with their hand for Yang to follow them. Yang tells Carly that she has something to take care of quickly and will meet back up with her in just a moment. She walks down this alley to find out who this is. It's a short girl with dark red hair, a ponytail, and a white fang mask. Seeing this, Yang takes her traditional battle stance. Who are you? That's not important. Listen, human, I don't have long, but I need to ask you, what does Blake Belladonna mean to you? Now, yes, this is Ilia, who had followed Gira and Carly to the Xiaolong house. Now, she wasn't able to see all that much of the inside of the house. Heck, she didn't even get a glimpse of Blake. All she saw was Carly leaving with a human? Who is this? She's done her mission, tracking the Belladonnas to Blake, and she's got some time before everyone else from the White Fang arrives, so why not take care of some personal business? She wants info on this girl. Who is she to Blake? And vice versa. Now, of course, this question makes Yang angry. This girl in the White Fang snooping around, asking her questions about Blake, and for that matter, she knows that Yang is associated with Blake. Has she been spying on them? What is it with you White Fang and your obsession with Blake? Why can't you just leave her alone? What, was taking her arm not enough for you? Ilia's taken aback by that last bit. She thinks to herself, wait, Blake lost... Someone from the White Fang took her arm? Yeah, she was never told about that. I mean, it was probably deemed as, unimportant. After all, the White Fang are just there to take her to Adam. Ilia's mind races. Who did it? There's one person she can think of. The same guy. She watched Blake fall for so long, and she knows firsthand just how bad that relationship was. It has to be him, but she needs to know for sure. Who did it? She asks while trying to compose herself as much as humanly possible. What does it matter to you? Yang retorts, and Ilia turns full red. Who did it? Answer me! Yang's had enough and attacks. As the two fight, Ilia is having a hard time dodging Yang's punches. Yang's getting quite a lot of hits in, and boy, they hurt. Because yeah, when Yang's angry, she hits especially hard. However, Ilia's soon able to tell that Yang is quite belligerent. And she's predictable. Yeah, maybe getting that training from Tai would have helped here. Once Ilia has the opportunity, she uses the whip form on her sword, wraps it around Yang, and activates her lightning dust. Yang screams as a result of the electrocution, and activates her semblance. Absorbing all the power from Ilia's dust, her hair ablaze, her eyes bright red. She breaks out of the restraint, grabs Ilia, who is still in shock by what just happened and now can't dodge, and punches Ilia square in the face, shattering her mask and sending her flying to a wall at the end of the alley. Yang takes a breath and notices something on the ground. Ilia's scroll. She grabs it. Ilia gets up, still winded over that last attack. However, this fight gets cut short, because Carly heard the commotion and comes over to check it out. Yang, is everything Ilia? Ooh, this isn't good for Ilia. She's been recognized and name dropped. She's gonna get the heck out of there. She throws down a smoke bomb. Yang tries to attack, but she just punches a wall. Ilia is gone. Yang and Carly look at each other with worry. They've got to get back to the house. Now. Meanwhile, back at said house, Blake had finally worked up the courage to speak to Gira about her leaving. And much like in the original, she breaks down. She just doesn't understand how her parents don't hate her. I mean, she called them cowards. How could they just welcome her back in? Gira comforts his daughter, saying that he was never afraid that she would fail, just that she would go down the wrong path, and he's so happy she didn't. She got off that path on her own and worked up the courage to face her demons. She came back, and there aren't many who possess that kind of strength. So, yeah, that all pretty much goes the same as it did in the original. And much like in the original, it gets interrupted by a blonde bursting through the door, albeit a little differently, as Yang and Carly are back with some bad news. Now, if you're expecting Blake to get angry and start slapping Yang like she did Sun, she doesn't. Yet circumstances are a little different here. Now, yes, she is frustrated that her talk with her dad was interrupted. The mood changes as soon as Carly mentions Ilia. What? Ilia? Yang tells her the story about how Ilia approached her and their brief fight. Blake can't help but feel like her world is about to crumble around her. She finally felt safe again. Yang and Tai taking her in, treating her like family, finding out that her parents still love and support her, even after everything. It was all going so well. And now her worst fear has come true. It's almost as if the universe had recognized that Blake was starting to feel happy and pulled the rug out from under her. Again. She's snapped back into reality by Yang, who kneels down to eye level and tells her, "Hey, if the White Fang want to get to you, they're gonna have to go through me first." Blake looks back to Yang, and then everyone else. Everyone looks at her with a similar expression that screams, "We're here for you." Blake takes a quick moment, breathes, and says, "No." Blake stands up, makes her way to a nearby closet, reaches in, and pulls out Gamble's shroud. If they get to any of you, they're gonna have to go through me first. This is her life. Her family. She's not gonna let anyone take that away from her. Now, of course, Yang is understandably concerned. Are you sure you're ready for a fight? Blake smirks and tells her, "I only need one arm to swing a sword. And besides," she says while holding up what remains of her left arm, "this might make my fight with Ilia more even." Now, Yang is surprised to hear that from Blake of all people. Maybe her and Tai are starting to rub off on her a little. But anyway, the White Fang are in patch. Everyone needs to plan their next move carefully. Thankfully, though, they have just the tool to help with that. Ilia's scroll. And they're able to get quite a bit of information out of it, like exactly who from the White Fang are in patch right now, along with Adam's plan to murder Sienna Khan and attack Haven Academy. That horrifies everybody. But they do need to focus on the here and now at this current moment, so that they'll deal with the Haven thing later. While this is going on, the rest of the White Fang meet back up with Ilia. Now this group contrasts of Ilia, Corsic and Finnick, Trifa, Yuma, and a few nameless grunts. Corsic and Finnick scold Ilia for losing her scroll. I mean, think of all the information that she's just lost. But then they get a call from Ilia? They answer, and it's Blake. I know you're here for me, so let's settle this. I've sent you my coordinates. You want me? Come and get me. And hangs up. Now, real quick, I know Blake has taken a bit more of a head-on approach here, but I feel like that's justified considering the amount of time she's been spending with Yang and Tai. So if anyone's curious as to why Blake is suddenly a lot more confident, that might have something to do with it. Now, of course, can Phoenix see these coordinates and turn back to Ilia. If you pull this off, you losing your scroll may be overlooked. Sister Ilia, you are to take Blake Belladonna alive, and no one else. And of course, much like in the original, Ilia is conflicted over these orders. Albeit, of course, she doesn't convey them much to the White Fang. I mean, obviously. But she's a little more conflicted in this timeline. Now, she cares about Blake, and after finding out what happened, she doesn't want to send her to Adam of all people. She doesn't want to hurt Gira and Kali, and there's something about that girl. Yang, was it? Like, a human that's putting her life and home on the line for Blake? No. Ilia still believes in the White Fang's cause and will do this. Right? So, the White Fang head to Blake's coordinates. That being the Zhao Longhouse. It's basically a fight at the house just like the Belladonna house in the original. Except maybe without the house burning. Although I say that Yang is involved. They make their way there thinking, oh, this'll be an easy one. I mean, it's not like the Belladonna house where they have a lot of guards. And yeah, sure, they might have a couple hunters in training there, but one of them's missing an arm. They can handle the other one and was most likely just a suburban dad. Yeah, they don't know about Tai yet. So it'll be a cinch, right? When they arrive, standing out front is Blake, gamble shroud in her hand, and beside her are Yang, Tai, Gira, and Kali. Now, of course, Zwei is around too, but I don't think they would intend for Zwei to get involved, although then again, I say that RWBY and Yang took him onto a train full of White Fangs. So, you know what, that checks out. Gira gives everyone one last chance. We can resolve this peacefully. All of this isn't necessary. Just turn around, and the time for your peace talks is over, Gira. Indeed. Brother Adam will soon be the one who leads us from now on, and he demands Blake's presence at our headquarters. So come with us now, and everyone here will be spared. Say Corsic and Finnick. Yang readies Ember Celica. That's not gonna happen. Stay out of this, human, says Ilia. Yang wants another go at her, but she's stopped by Blake. Leave her to me, Yang. This is important. Yang agrees, albeit reluctantly, to Blake's request. She locks eyes with Trifa. I'll take you then. Fine by me. I've always wanted to kick a human's ass, says Trifa. Tai takes a battle stance. You guys come to my house, threaten to kill me and my family, and you don't even have the courtesy to bring a bottle? I'm gonna have to teach you some manners. Hey Gira, wanna take these two on together? Gira agrees to this. He throws his coat off to the side, ready for this coming fight. Alright, just try to keep up. Funny, I was about to say the same thing to you. Now while this is going on, Yuma's trying to sneak around and catch everyone unawares. But he's caught by Kali. I don't think so. The stage is set, we have our matchups. Gira and Tai versus Corsic and Finnick. Kali versus Yuma. Blake versus Ilia. And Yang versus Trifa. Why does that last one sound so familiar? Not important. Oh, and they also have to fight like a few grunts here and there, but let's be real, we know they don't mean anything. Let's start with Gira and Tai versus Corsic and Finnick. And I'm gonna put something in perspective. Now, since Tai was a part of Team Stark, and he's the one who trains Yang, I'm willing to bet it's safe to assume he can at the very least keep up with the likes of Crow and Raven. If Sun can fight these guys, yeah, I think it's safe to say Tai can absolutely handle them. As for what's different about this fight, well, at least Finnick gets to live. But yeah, the two dads take him out, no problem. Now as for Kali, she's struggling a fair bit, mostly due to not having the guards with her. But Yuma is surprisingly able to handle himself this time around. But before he can finish this fight, that is when Zwei shows up and aggressively bites his ankle. Anyone out there have a dog bite you? Because let me tell you, that hurts. With this opening, Carly puts her hands together and axe handles Yuma right in the head, knocking him out and finishing him off. Much like Blake does to Adam in Volume 5. Carly looks down at Zwei, who's now turned quite calm and is looking up at her. She pets him on the head, saying, "Good boy," and he gives a soft bark in return. Now, Yang's having a tough time with Trifa. It's mostly that spider silk. Yeah, it's proving quite annoying for her. Yang tries anything, she gets stuck with web. Now, since Blake was able to rip out of that in the original with just her bare hands, I don't see any reason Yang shouldn't be able to as well, but it is getting quite tedious. Heck, it's even starting to remind Yang of a fight with Neon Cat. Her arms being webbed up, her feet being webbed to the floor. Yeah, that's bringing back some memories. But soon, Yang finds both arms webbed up, and Trifa takes this opportunity, landing hit after hit after hit. Trifa grabs Yang by the top of her hair, looks her right in the eye, and tells her, "You know, if you hadn't interfered, her death would have been quick and painless. But since you and the others have really pissed us off, you and everyone else here are gonna die nice and slow." Very poor choice of words to use to Yang. Yeah, to say she's pissed right now is an understatement. Yang screams and rips out of the spider silk just like it's wet tissue paper. Yang's red eyes are set on Trifa, who fires a web out of desperation, but Yang catches it and uses it to yank Trifa right towards her. She punches Trifa in the face and into the floor hard enough to cause a crater. Yeah, she's out. Now again, I'm going to put something in perspective here. In the original story, Blake knocks out Trifa with one punch. Now, a punch from a very angry Yang? Yeah, she's not getting back up anytime soon. In fact, there's a good chance she might need a doctor after this. And lastly, we have Blake and Ilia. Now, this fight's more even than it was in the original, mostly due to Blake having to compensate, missing an arm and everything. And of course, Ilia is able to get the upper hand thanks to her camouflaging, but Blake is able to make up for it with some clever use of her shadow clones. And, much like in the original, using ice dust rounds to render Ilia's sword completely useless. All while exchanging more or less the same dialogue that they had in the original. Blake trying to get through to Ilia saying that she doesn't have to do this, and Ilia telling Blake that the White Fang's ideology is all she knows. That she doesn't know what else to do. Now, I'm summarizing this up as much as I can because, like I mentioned, the dialogue would be the exact same, and I would prefer to repeat the original as little as physically possible. And the fight does ultimately have the same result, with Blake winning, and Ilia's turn to the good side. Now, of course, Yang's a little hesitant on Ilia being on their side now, but with Blake's assurance and Gira giving his speech about there being strength and forgiveness, she'll at least give her a chance. Now, sure enough, the police arrive, and the White Fang are arrested, just like they did in the original. Yang says to Blake, "Well, we had some people over, there was a fight, and the cops showed up. I don't know about you, but I'd call that a good birthday party," which causes Blake to laugh. Ilia hears this laugh, and she's taken aback. She hasn't heard Blake laugh like that in, well, a long time. She starts to think that she might see what Blake sees in someone like Yang, or even Tai, or whoever else that she's met at Beacon. She smiles and thinks to herself, Blake's found some good people. And with the White Fang apprehended, Gira and Carly announce that they will have to be leaving to go back to Menagerie soon. Yeah, thanks to the info that they got from Ilia's scroll, which, yes, they do return, and knowing that Adam is planning to attack Haven Academy, they've got to get some help. Naturally, Blake wants to go as well. It's quite an important thing. Yang and Tai urge her not to go, saying that it might be best if Blake stayed a little while longer. Why is that? Well, her new arm is on the way. Yeah, remember how Ironwood got his team to start working on a new arm for Yang immediately after the fall of Beacon? Well, there's no reason he wouldn't do the same for Blake. And of course, with her staying at the Xiaolong house while recovering, it's gonna be sent there. Blake can't believe this. She's gonna get a new arm? And of course, Gira and Cully are thrilled to hear this. With that news, Blake decides that maybe it would be for the best if she did stay. I mean, after all, if she's gonna fight for Haven, she's gonna do it at her best. Now, she and her parents want to spend more time together, of course. But this is ultimately for the best. The time they were able to share here today really was a gift. They will promise to see each other again at Haven. And this promise is sealed with a family hug, just like we see here. But there's one more important matter they need to discuss. Well, Tai, Yang, and Blake know that RWBY is heading for Haven, which they know is going to be attacked. Yeah, they have to warn her somehow. I mean, she's already on her way to Haven. She has no idea about any of this. She's long gone, and global communications are down. They can't just phone her or anything. And they won't be able to pin her location down to send a letter in time. Crow's already gone, so he's out of the question. Blake and or Yang could hop on Bumblebee and head after her right now. But they still need to wait for Blake's arm to arrive so that Blake is at her best, right? They need to do something. I'll go. Everyone turns to Ilia. I'll go find your sister. And that's where we're gonna leave things for right now. Okay, so let me know what you think. Did you like the Xiaolong and Belladonna families together? Do you like how much more confident Blake is in this timeline given all the time she's been spending with Tai and Yang? And what do you think about the idea of Ilia going to find RWBY? And with that, hope you enjoyed this part. Thanks for watching, all of that stuff, and here's my Blake outro. Bye.
This is Blake Belladonna with Your Only Mate saying like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.